All right, it's another day. This is gonna work. I was getting seriously frustrated because we're running into issues of the hardware having to not compete with each other in this short space. So I went and whittled down one bolt and got it to pass through here, and it's still interfering, right? But how are you gonna align all this? This is gonna be trapped into here because this doesn't detach. It's crazy. Stay tuned for part 2 because I'm telling you, the viewers help me solve this puzzle. Seriously. Here we are, round 2. Nothing happens, or nothing good happens easy, as they say. Takes perseverance. So we got a couple ideas in motion. This has to be heavy duty, has to be super duty, in fact. So the pieces are lining up. Join us now as we revisit the front suspension of Little Jewel. So as a quick wrap up, we're fouling hardware here because this gap is so tight. And then with this modification of this, the shackles weren't working. So people are following us, and there's obviously some engineers in the crowd because they really helped me out. It's something that I had considered, but with the tooling that we have, I didn't think it was possible. Let's go over to the drill press and discuss how you, the viewers, solved this riddle. As you can see on the floor here, Heidi has been creating quite the pile of metal debris, and I'm adding to it. The problem we're having with these shackles, and I mentioned it, that the holes were small. They weren't the right size for this special hardware. This is a 15/16 bolt. Now it fits.
Yay.
So one thing I did without even realizing it is, look, this hole is not centered on the plate. That's just how I roll, right? So when I had this on the axle and it was hitting as it swung forward, it was like this. So the plate was closer to the axle than it needed to be. So I flipped this and then drilled it oversized to fit the hardware. But one thing that the viewers said was to move the hole in relationship to where it was when I drill. And I'll get into that in a second. So see the smaller hole, right? We upsized it from that. So our centers were somewhere here, right? But what I did when I drilled the bigger hole, I clamped the heck out of that poor little vise and I moved the hole over. In other words, if I was to center this, it wouldn't modify the relationship of the spring to the axle plate. So what I did was I went on edge. I went on the edge of the bolt and I moved it over. I'm gonna get a piece of chalk and explain exactly how that went down. And seriously, I gotta thank everyone sending us stuff so much because somebody sent me this cool little block and I was thinking, that's nice, but when is a guy like me ever gonna use a machinist block? Yeah, so somebody sent me 4 of these things and I'm like, man, well, this is cool, but I'm probably gonna end up using it as a magic marker holder or something. But then I said to myself, when this is in the drill press, you lock that baby down, you push it over to the edge of that hole, right? And then you put the larger hardware right there. And this is me doing it with the drill bit, but I'm just trying to explain to everyone involved how the hole moves over. So it's a very short distance. Let's see, I'm favoring the edge of this hole here, so it's opening up the material out here. So in effect, it moves this, it spreads out the holes about 3/16 of an inch. Gauging that?
Yep.
It's like a crescent moon. So again, this is super rudimentary. We got our poor little drill press that we are torturing with oversized drill bits. I got this worn out old vise and I got it clamped up. So what I'm doing with each of these is I'm literally putting this into this poor vise, holding it with a giant clamp
Wow.
to keep them aligned. And I'm not going to turn the tool on because you don't need to see this part. But basically, I'm boring through both of these so that they're the same, right? Because this lower one doesn't quite lock in the vise as it should. It kind of shimmies around. That's what we're working with. But then, when I come around to this side of the equation, I take the hardwares and I put it through. Because then your holes are locked, right? The thing can't shimmy around at all. Then I'm setting this up, locating it, right? Kind of like this, getting it squared up, locking it down, right? So now we're passing through here. So 15/16 with a little bit of oxidation on it. This is 15/16 brand new. So this doesn't pass straight through the virgin drill hole. You got to mess with it a little bit, see? So that's where I'm able to use a little bit of the wiggle room. This drill press isn't perfect, but now I have a guide. We're gonna go for it live. Actually, this is filmed before a live audience.
Me.
So you'll see this. I think this drill press is pretty much at its max because you'll hear it stall out. The belts slip a little, but I think that works in our favor. I don't want to tighten the belts and break anything. So see, that's guiding that right into the lower plate. And I'll show you how it's changing once we get this thing started. So this right here is a perfect example of what's going on. Get this. And again, you can't even have one little shard of metal between them because then the measurements will be off. So I'm going to take this out. I'll loosen this. So see how the hole is moved over and up. So these are not getting closer together. They're getting further apart, which is what we need. So now that that is set, that drill bit's going to follow through. Let's recenter it. Go in for the kill. See how the belt slips a little bit? And I don't think it's terrible. It stops everything from binding up, launching off the table. So this has been a lot of work for this drill press, but it's hanging in there. Someday I will own an upright mill, and this will be a walk in the park. Just gonna clean up some of these edges. All right. So this is what I was getting at. Even though the holes are brand new, you see the threads go through, then it kind of jams up right there. So I'm gonna just do these one at a time with the hand drill and try to just wobble them out a little bit. Because it is just a shackle, it's a spring hanger. It doesn't have to be like a perfectly machine fit. It's just gotta kind of swing nice. Let's see those little high-speed drill action. All it needed. Nope. So weird how some holes will be perfect. Others fuss with you. Look at that. Same drill bit. Same bolt. So yeah, heavy duty stuff takes a long time. All right, cool. That's one. And I got to keep these things like paired and turned the right way. So when we install them, they go right in the truck. the way we want. Another bolt. So the big problem I was having with the clearance was these nuts are so wide. I can get a lock nut about half of this size. So I'm just going to cut this in half just for putting it together right now. This is a common problem when working on truck stuff. It's like all of our tools just got too small, just like the drill press, just like everything. And this isn't even semi-truck stuff. This is just heavier than the average Volkswagen Beetle. All right, I'm gonna pull myself together a little here. I'm gonna move this hardware outside the work zone. I'm gonna clean the dust out. We're gonna go in with a fresh new attitude.
I like it. Did you make it all pretty?
Excuse me?
Did you make it all pretty?
You mock it up, you tear it down. You mock it up, you refine it, tear it down. This is heavy metal. Here we go. We're gonna try it once more. The bolt fouling issue. Mostly with the shackles. Let's see what we got. So this holds our heim joint. So unfortunately, it's gonna be a real complex disassembly. To get this bushing in and out, you're probably gonna have to cut this hardware in the end. You're just gonna have to replace it. Big deal. So this is gonna go through here. We're gonna set that. We can load our heim joint into place. And that gets set here. And see, this is where it started to get really tight and scary for me. So we're gonna index our plates as close with this offset. We're gonna set it as close to the axle as possible. We're gonna make sure both of these are keyed, right? So this one will go on that side, that one's gonna go on that side. So then we'll take our 15/16 large wear. No washers for now because we're still in the mock-up phase. So this is gonna go through here, right? Then we're gonna have our bushing. And then this whole kit gets hammered through. I hammered it out so I know it goes back into place. And before we get all mixed up, we're gonna take this, we're gonna put it on. And then as it creeps in, we're gonna get our modified nut, which will be a lock nut in the end. See, it's close quarters. That's gonna work. That's all that counts. So as this comes into place, we're gonna get that threaded like so. And we're gonna bring it right. Well, I'm probably gonna have to cut this bolt. Yeah, but that's cool. I think I'll probably cut it as it comes through. Yeah, I'm gonna have to cut that bolt. I'll tell you what, just because we're in mock-up phase, I'm gonna hammer this thing home and we'll just take the bolt out and cut it. So now that bushing is centered, our shackles are shackling, our hardware is not touching each other. That's how it's supposed to be. Let's try the other side, because to cut that bolt, we'll just back it out. But everything is in place. That's cool. Yeah, I like that, and I like that. And yeah. In the end, unfortunately, you got to change that. You're going to have to cut that one bolt. Big whoop. Ain't no thing. Or you just take this whole thing apart. Let's do this side.
I like this renewed energy today. Ian was really
Told you I'm a mood.
frustrated yesterday. I felt so bad for
Every
him.
time I did one thing, it's like, we're out of room. The hardware won't fit. Blah, blah, blah. This, that, and the other thing.
We just decided the end.
Quit it. So again, our shallow side is going here to there to the bushing. Da, da, da. See, I'm doing all that, but I could probably, in hindsight, just do this. Send that to the center. And that, and then that are keyed. That's gonna go here, that's gonna go there. And we got our hardware issue. Ooh. To back that off. Let's go. Oh, the spring is in the way. Oops. So yeah, I'll have to cut these larger bolts. That ain't no stress. And now for the lower. That's cool. That's cool. I don't have the largest bolts yet for this, but we can mock it up with 2 of these and just see how that's gonna work out. Yeah. Yeah. So let's try this. So what I'm looking at is, remember the springs were hitting yesterday. They're hitting this plate. I'm trying to get a light peer in there so we can, see? No, it's not hitting. Awesome. That sits like that. Sits like that. So right here, as this swings, it's gonna bump. So we're just, in the end, I'm gonna take this and just come in just whatever we need. You'll see a lot of these shackles, they're kind of bone shaped like that too, where they'll taper in the center. So we're gonna cut this back. We're gonna trim both of them. We're gonna rock that spring and just trim everything out, but nothing's rubbing in the springs, and that's a good thing. So yeah, we're gonna need a ton of reinforcement now. I think to get this isn't gonna have a ton of side load on it, but let's put a vertical piece of brace across here to grab that, and I think we're gonna need some strength in here. I'm gonna bring one heim joint over to the table. We're gonna create this reinforcement here out of the template, and then we'll just make that freehand out of steel plate. Now this will be pretty easy. Lots of dust. So here's our exact template with our exact hole. So that's centered on our hole. We're going to need this much space minimum. And we want this gusset to kind of, we're gonna have a vertical stress, vertical structure that I'll get to in a second, but we wanna cross over that. We wanna do maybe that down, and maybe about the same size. So, I know it doesn't make sense right this second, but watch this. Can you dig?
You made a baby one.
Look at this. So this is gonna be this same width plate. It's gonna be a doubler. It's gonna go like that to put structure a little more in here, and then right here is where we're gonna have that piece on the inside. So I'm gonna cut those out and meet you back around when it's all said and done. You can take a break.
Okay. Well, I'm editing, I'm not breaking. Okay, we're rolling.
All right, so I got those plates cut and I went in and revised everything. So some of these bolts need to be trimmed a little bit. I'm still gonna hit that last one, but see how I just took the edges off? These are all mock-up stuff, but I'm gonna use it like this just to test. I got the clearance in here, nothing's fouling, the spring shackles are swinging. We're still waiting on the proper bolt, but I got pieces of tube that are 15/16 located in there. So it's all good. This is the area we're gonna have to clear out a little bit. Not a major deal. These aren't gonna swing a heck of a lot, but we don't want them clanging into each other. So a little grind, a little sand, all good. The last thing is the reinforcement of this plate. I don't want this to do that. Or from here, I don't want this to distort because it's so thinner right through here. So that's where our doublers come in and our little gussets. Just like the pieces of paper, we made these. These pieces go in here like that. Nope, I'm wrong. The long side goes in like that. Then this piece with the little chip out of it indexes right there. So see what I'm doing? The high point of this gusset is transferring to here, and it's just ending where that plate ends. Does that matter? I don't know, but that's what I want to do. That's going to sit right here. This piece, index right there, like so, and nice. I'm going to trim that up once it's welded in place. I just left it big. And I'm not trying to overheat or distort anything. So I'm going to bring this over the other side. So I learned this from our other friend Ian with the Big Willie Jeep. He made these cool shackles. He made these pieces for his big Jeep out of the same thing. He machined or CNC cut all these graduated shapes of steel and welded them, and they work awesome, and it looks super awesome too. Check. I gotta twist that one just a little bit, it's bugging me. Okay, so that's pretty much our structure. Now it's just a lot of welding. Not the same type of welding as when I do sheet metal work. In other words, spot, spot, and jump around. This is considerably thicker, but I don't want to warp anything. Believe it or not, this plate you could still warp. If I was to run a huge bead along here, for instance, this would want to pull in. So this is going to help with that, but I'm probably going to weld from here to here. We'll let that sit. Do the same, then come back and just go back and forth on the whole thing. These aren't bolted in because they're going to pop off. I'm going to weld the undersides. A whole bunch of grinding, finishing, cutting. you name it. But hey, theory proven. We got 2 springs, we got 2 shackles, the axle is held in place, ready to receive the radius rods. Next up is this. This is gonna be another heavy duty experience. These springs, the spring pack has to come out of this arrangement, yet it has to be welded and very rigid. See how these aren't together here? I'm thinking this and these are the truck chassis. When you unbolt it, these springs and this plate drop out and down. So this is gonna have to be mega strong because these springs are twisting. They're gonna want to twist out of this plate. That's why I chose this as the bottom. It's gonna be a huge amount of leverage pushing down right here and a huge amount of leverage pushing up right here. It's gonna wanna do that. So I might even go to the steel supply again, but for now, ta-da, we're working it. It's starting to become quarter elliptic leaf spring suicide front end. Look at all that room for the tie rod. Look at all that room for the shackle. It's gonna be awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.